Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the B segment of episode 57 of The Loud House, Fool Me Twice. We begin this segment with Lincoln getting off a bus somewhere within Royal Woods, and he's wearing a disguise. Eventually, Lincoln meets up with his parents and 9 of his 10 sisters. Luan is the only Loud sister not present for this meeting, and we see that the other present Loud family members are wearing disguises like Lincoln. Lincoln passes a test to verify that he is indeed Lincoln, and after Lincoln passes this test, all of the present Loud family members remove their disguises. Lincoln also assures his present relatives that Luan didn't follow him, and Clyde is keeping an eye on Luan. We see that Luan is performing at Sunset Canyon Retirement Home, and Clyde is there wearing an elderly disguise. The present Loud family members have met up at this location because tomorrow is April Fool's Day, which means Luan has a prank apocalypse planned. So the present Loud family members are hoping to come up with their own plan to avoid this prank apocalypse. Some of the present Loud family members do offer suggestions, but these suggestions are not completely ideal for one reason or another. And eventually, the present Loud family members fear that they might not be able to avoid this prank apocalypse. Suddenly, someone approaches the present Loud family members and requests that they step away because it turns out the present Loud family members stumbled onto a movie set and they're about to film a particularly dangerous stunt. So the present Loud family members do step away and they watch the scene that's being filmed. An actor or stunt double is riding a motorcycle, and the stunt does look to be very dangerous, but the actor or stunt double is not harmed after performing this stunt. And after the scene finishes filming, the actor or stunt double remove their motorcycle helmet and reveal that this actor or stunt double bears a strong resemblance to Lynn Sr., something that Lenny points out to the rest of the present Loud family members. Lynn Sr. comments that it's a shame that he can't just hire this actor or stunt double to take his place during April Fool's Day, and this inspires the rest of the present Loud family members to consider that maybe they can hire actors or stunt doubles to take their place on April Fool's Day. And the next scene reveals that's exactly what happens. The present Loud family members have hired actors or stunt doubles to take their place during Luan's prank apocalypse. Lily is actually the only present Loud family member that doesn't have a stunt double. And yes, we see that the stunt doubles do bear a strong resemblance to the Loud family members that they're impersonating. There are some minor differences, like different shaped noses, for example, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Rita's stunt double has a mole on her cheek, but otherwise the similarities are very strong, or there are very strong similarities. And the voice artists for most of the stunt doubles are the same voice artists for the Loud family members that they're impersonating. The one exception is Lincoln's stunt double. Lincoln's stunt double has a different voice artist, and he's an elderly man. Lynn Sr.'s stunt double points out that kids with white hair is very rare, so he says he did the best he could, in his words. But when Lincoln hears that his stunt double has a tendency to read in his underwear, Lincoln figures that this elderly man will make an ideal stunt double. Lynn Sr. then mentions to the rest of his present relatives that they need to take the time they have to teach their stunt doubles how to act like them, and they need to return home before 5 o'clock because that's when Luan will return home, and they fear that Luan might become suspicious if she returns to an empty home. Lynn Sr. also points out to his stunt double how he has a tendency to talk with his hands. So the next scene does shows the Loud family members, besides Luann and besides Lily, teaching their stunt doubles how to act like them. And the scene after that takes place at night. Now, during this scene, midnight rolls around, and at midnight, the Loud family members, except for Luann, leave the Loud house and enter the garage, while the stunt doubles arrive and they enter the Loud house to take the place of the family members that they impersonated. So the next scene rolls around and the sun has risen, and the Lisa reveals to the rest of her relatives in the garage that she has a monitor so that they can keep track of what's going on. The monitor is connected to cameras that she installed last year, but Lisa quickly realizes that might not have been the wisest thing to say, so Lisa quickly tries to cover it up by insisting that she installed the cameras last night. But in any case, this monitor is connected to this computer, and this monitor are connected to different cameras, and so they can see what happens during the prank apocalypse. So yes, they notice that the stunt doubles are starting to wake up, and they see what happens. But much to the surprise of the Loud family members in the garage, the stunt doubles aren't ambushed by any pranks, or no pranks occur to the stunt doubles. The stunt doubles wake up, they leave the rooms of the Loud family members that they're impersonating, and eventually the stunt doubles just leave the Loud house. No pranks are occurring. The Loud family members in the garage are still confused about this, and Lynn Sr. in particular is annoyed because of the money that was spent to hire these stunt doubles. Rita then, though, considers the possibility that maybe the prank apocalypse for this year was no actual prank, or rather that the prank was that the Loud family members, besides Luann, would be so paranoid about the possibility of being pranked. So after Rita voices this possibility, the Loud family members in the garage decide that they can rest easy now. Unfortunately, though, Luann has hijacked the monitor in the garage, and Luann has revealed to the rest of her family that the prank apocalypse is not over yet. Luann admits that she had a different prank apocalypse planned for this year, but she decided to save that particular prank apocalypse for the next time because she actually compliments them for the stunt doubles that they found, and she said that the stunt doubles have inspired her to try a different prank apocalypse. So the Loud family members in the garage are starting to panic now, and they realize they have to leave the garage and stop Luann. But unfortunately, the Loud family members in the garage realize that Luann has sabotaged any attempts for them to get out of the garage. Luann has the garage door opener with her, and Luann reveals that she's hijacked the computer. Luann has installed cameras elsewhere throughout Royal Woods, and she's taken over the computer monitor in the garage so that it will be connected to these other cameras throughout Royal Woods. Luann wants her family members within the Luann wants her family members in the garage to see what's going to occur on these cameras, and we do get to see what happens. So what happened is not only did Luann find out about the stunt doubles in the middle of the night, but Luann managed to convince the stunt doubles to actually turn against the Loud family members that hire them, and Luann managed to convince the stunt doubles to go see various people in the lives of her family members. Luann convinced the stunt doubles to perform humiliating acts in front of individuals that the Loud family members, besides Luann, know. So one by one, each of the Loud family members in the garage, except for Lily, see their stunt double performing some humiliating act, and they faint after seeing this humiliating act. So, in order, the humiliating acts are Lincoln's stunt double goes to Agnes Johnson's house and proclaims love to Agnes. Lola's stunt double praises Lindsay Sweetwater and gives Lindsay Sweetwater one of Lola's pageant crowns. Lenny's stunt double gets a perm and is planning to show the perm to some of Lenny's friends. Luna's stunt double goes to see some of Luna's friends at a concert, and Luna's stunt double Luna's stunt double tells Luna's friends that they should play polka music, and Luna comments that it isn't even good polka music in her words. Lana's stunt double pretends to be grossed out by a worm in front of some of Lana's friends. Lynn's stunt double loses a tetherball game with Zach Girdle, one of Lincoln's friends. And Rita's stunt double prepares to publish Rita's book without the ending that Rita had in mind for the book. Lisa's stunt double is having a conference with some scientists, and Lisa's stunt double makes an obvious revelation about what sound a cat makes. And Lucy's stunt double prepares to reveal her eyes to some of Lucy's friends. Lynn Sr.'s stunt double purposefully answers a question wrong in a quiz relating to England. And Lori's stunt double goes on a date with Bobby and constantly farts while insisting that the fart noises are just the shoes, an excuse that the real Lori has used before. So, yes, all of the Loud family members in the garage, except Lily, faint after seeing these humiliating acts. And we cut to a later point in time where the Loud family members in the garage, besides Lily, regain consciousness, and Lana manages to dig a tunnel so that they can escape from the garage. But some of the Loud family members in the garage say that there's no point because they can't show their faces in Royal Woods after the humiliating acts that ruined their reputation. Yes, they say they can't show their faces in Royal Woods because their reputations have been ruined by the humiliating acts that the stunt doubles performed on Luann's behalf for the prank apocalypse. And Lynn Sr. says that there's only one thing that they can do now. So later on, Luann returns home, and she sees her family members are putting boxes into a moving truck. The rest of the Loud family tell Luann that they have to leave Royal Woods because, they have to leave Royal Woods because they can't stay in Royal Woods after the humiliating acts that the stunt doubles performed during the prank apocalypse. And Luann does not like hearing this at all. Luann is pleading with them that they can't leave Royal Woods. It's their home. Luann tries to appease her family members by saying that she will call the individuals that the stunt doubles performed the humiliating acts in front of, so that she can reveal that the stunt doubles were just stunt doubles, that none of them were the real Loud family members. Luann also apologizes for the prank apocalypse, and she says that she will never perform another prank again. She pleads with them that they can't leave Royal Woods. And then after that, the rest of the Loud family reveal to Luann that this was an April Fool's prank. This was their prank to get back at Luann for the prank she pulled on them, or the prank apocalypse that Luann pulled on them. And Luann does admit that the rest of her family really scared her. She thought they were being serious. And Luann does compliment them, saying that it looks like they're getting the hang of pranking themselves. But then she points out that the moving truck is leaving. Lincoln, however, reveals that the boxes they put in the moving truck were mostly empty. The boxes that weren't empty were filled with Luann's items. Luann panics, and she rushes after the moving truck to reclaim her items. and the rest of the Loud family pat themselves on the back for being able to prank Luan back. And that is how we end this segment. So this segment is another April Fool's Day segment, and this follows a tradition that was shown in Season 1 and Season 2. So in Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3, each season had one segment that was dedicated to April Fool's Day, and they all share the same theme of Luan pulling a prank apocalypse, where Luan acts really sadistic and rivals the Joker in how sadistic she can be with these pranks, or that's how some fans, or yes, at least some fans, describe Luan being like the Joker in the April Fool's Day segments. Now, yes, we've had 3 April Fool's Day segments, and this has confused some fans because the characters are supposed to be a certain age, but they're still the same age in all of these April Fool's Day segments. Now, yes, it's true, there is a trope called comic book time. That's a trope where essentially time seems to pass, but the characters stay the same age. That does happen in works of fiction, some animated shows, and some comic books, for example, follow comic book time. But the reason why some fans were still confused with regards to the Loud House was because the Loud House didn't seem to... there weren't really too many other entries in the Loud House that had there weren't really too many multiple entries dedicated to a single holiday in the Loud House. The April Fool's Day segments were really the only really notable entries that had multiple entries being dedicated to the same holiday. Now, there actually were 2 Christmas entries. There was a full episode dedicated to Christmas, and there was a short dedicated to Christmas. However, the Christmas short was just a Loud House variation of the 12 Days of Christmas song. So most fans don't really count the Christmas short since it was just a Christmas song or a Loud House adaptation of a Christmas song. So most fans don't really count that Christmas short. So there really was only one actual story, you could say. Yes, there was only really one entry that actually had a story dedicated to Christmas, not counting that Christmas song. And there was one Halloween episode, although there were some entries that were inspired by Halloween. Or you could say that there were some entries that were inspired by Halloween or have a Halloween-esque take to them. But yes, for the most part, other holidays only really get one entry dedicated to them, or at least one entry that has an actual story to it. So it's easier to figure that this all happens within a certain year where the Loud family members are the ages that they're supposed to be. Now, when there were 2 April Fool's Day segments, some fans had tried to figure out a way to make sense of that or find a way to logically explain it. Some fans had tried to explain it along the lines of saying maybe one of the April Fool's Day segments happened shortly after Lily was born, and then the other one happened when Lily was the age that she's supposed to be in the show itself. But with 3 April Fool's Day segments, that does make it trickier, because otherwise the Loud House doesn't seem to follow the comic book time otherwise, especially because the Loud House does show some serialized elements to it, even though it is mostly an episodic series. Now, with 3 April Fool's Day segments, some fans have come to the conclusion that maybe the April Fool's Day segments are the Loud House equivalent to the Treehouse of Horror episodes from The Simpsons. Those Treehouse of Horror episodes are episodes dedicated to Halloween, and they're pretty much considered what-ifs. And so that's what some fans have come to the conclusion for the April Fool's Day segments. Some fans speculate or come to the conclusion that these April Fool's Day segments are just what-ifs and shouldn't really be taken into account. And yeah, at least the in-universe explanation, if you don't want to go with the comic book time explanation, some fans figure that it's probably just best to consider the April Fool's Day segments to be what-ifs. So, yeah, I'm probably going to go with that. I'm probably going to go along with that interpretation myself. I'm probably going to go along with the interpretation that the April Fool's Day segments are what-ifs. But otherwise, yes, Yes, that's how some fans have tried to explain 3 April Fool's Day segments with characters being the same age and not taking the comic book time and not taking the comic book time trope into account. And some fans have wondered though if, besides that, besides the April Fool's Day segments being dedicated to a certain holiday and happening once a season, some fans have also admitted that the April Fool's Day segments are some entries that are notable base breakers among fans of the franchise. There are some fans that really don't like the April Fool's Day segments. Some fans though don't mind the April Fool's Day segments, and then some fans have mixed feelings about the April Fool's Day segments. And this has led to some fans wondering if there will be an April Fool's Day segment in season 4, partially because of their base-breaking nature, but also because a new showrunner has taken over the show, starting with season 4, or at least fully in season 4. And so some fans wonder if this new showrunner might make some changes that weren't present in the first 3 seasons of the Loud House, or at least the majority of the in season 1 and season 2 and the majority of season 3. So that has led to a debate among some fans. But yes, the April Fool's Day segments are very base breaking for some fans. Now, I brought up before in the recap and thoughts videos for April Fool's Rules and Fool's Paradise, the other 2 April Fool's Day segments. I actually didn't have a problem with those segments for the most part, and that was because of the execution. Yes, the pranks are definitely ones you wouldn't want to perform in real life, but the way that those pranks in April Fool's Rules and Fool's Paradise were executed, they felt like over-the-top cartoony pranks, like the sort of pranks you would expect in Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, or Screwy Squirrel. That's how those pranks came off to me. They were executed in a way where I had a willing suspension of disbelief, or they were executed in a way where I could take them for what they were, just over-the-top cartoony pranks. That's why I didn't have a problem with April Fool's Rules and Fool's Paradise for the most part. If nothing else, I would say that the worst part of April Fool's Rules in particular was really more how Luan used Lincoln's concern for Ronnie Ann's safety to get him to set off all the pranks in the house. I mean, I would agree that was a low blow on Luan's part to do, and that's probably the part I would consider the worst part of April Fool's Rules. But the pranks themselves, they were just very over the top and cartoony. Same for Fool's Paradise. That's why I didn't really have a problem with the pranks themselves in those entries. Now, with regards to this entry, Fool Me Twice, I would have to say that, yes, if you want how I think Fool Me Twice compares to the other 2 April Fool's Day segments, I would say that I would consider Fool Me Twice to be the most cruel and the most underhanded of Luan's prank apocalypses, and this, again, boils down to the execution. Like I said earlier, April Fool's Rules and Fool's Paradise, their prank apocalypses felt like over-the-top cartoony antics, or they were executed in that manner. But in regards to Fool Me Twice, the prank apocalypse for Fool Me Twice, it was executed in a way that felt closer to home, or it hit closer to home. It felt more like the kind of thing that could happen in real life, unfortunately. And unfortunately, there are cases where it has happened in real life. But yes, the prank apocalypse for Fool Me Twice was Luan managing to convince the stunt doubles to betray the Loud family members that hired them and use them to, Luan managed to convince the stunt doubles to betray the Loud family members that hired them, and Luan managed to convince the stunt doubles to perform some sort of humiliating act to ruin the reputations of her family members. And like I said, that's something that unfortunately can happen in real life. There have been cases in real life where someone would go around impersonating another person and ruining their reputation or humiliating them while impersonating someone else. That definitely is, like I said, that hits closer to home compared to those over-the-top cartoony pranks from the first two April Fool's Day segments. So that's why I would say that this was Luann's most cruel and her most underhanded of the prank apocalypses, because it felt closer to home. It feels more like something that could happen in real life. So yeah, I did think that this was definitely it was, I would say this prank apocalypse was Luann at her lowest with regards to these prank apocalypses. And yes, I know some fans were hoping that Luann made good on her promise to call the individuals that she had the stunt doubles perform those humiliating acts in front of and clarify that the stunt doubles were not the real Loud family members. Some fans are definitely hoping Luann made good on that promise. And some fans do think that later entries that portray the Loud family members not being ridiculed, they take that to be a good sign of Luann making good on her promise, while others have gone with the explanation of they're just what ifs, the April Fool's Day segments. And like I said, for some fans, the speculation or the interpretation that the April Fool's Day segments are what ifs have softened the blow for some fans, but other fans still think Luann's prank apocalypse here was very unforgivable, and still hope that Luann made good on her promise. And while fans do appreciate that the rest of the Loud family were able to prank Luann back in retaliation, some fans felt that the retaliation prank wasn't enough of a punishment for Luann for what this prank apocalypse caused. So yeah, this one definitely, this one I would feel was definitely the most underhanded of the prank apocalypses. And otherwise, yes, besides that, besides the prank apocalypse itself, though, there were some other details about this particular segment. Like, we did get to see a few cameo appearances. We did see Clyde make a cameo appearance in this segment. He was actually keeping an eye out for Luann. Or yeah, he was keeping an eye on Luann for the sake of the rest of the Loud family, which a lot of fans considered very heartwarming. They think it's a good example of Clyde being a good friend to Lincoln. And we do get to see another of Lincoln's friends have a cameo, Zach Girdle. That's right, yes. Some recent supplementary material, or at least supplementary material that was released around the time when Season 3 was first airing on TV, this supplementary material revealed Zach's last name to be Girdle. So we now have another friend of Lincoln's that has their last name revealed. So I thought that was pretty insightful. They don't really reveal his last name to be Girdle yet. I guess you could say they do reference his last name in a later entry in Season 3. We'll cross that bridge when we eventually get to it. But yes, for anyone who's curious, Zach's last name is Girdle. And Zach's actually not the only character who's had their last name revealed in supplementary material and who had a cameo in this segment. Sam is a character who appears in this segment in cameo form and doesn't have any lines. Sam being one of the crushes from the segment in Season 2, Alice for Love, Luna's crush, actually. And yes, Sam does appear in this segment, but with no lines, and Sam has at least 2 more appearances in Season 3. The appearance after this appearance is also non-speaking. She doesn't speak in the appearance after this appearance, but her last appearance in Season 3 does have her talk, and she does have a more prevalent role in her last appearance in Season 3. And this, Sam was one of the crushes from Alice for Love that returned. Chaz was actually one of the crushes for Alice for Love, if not the only crush from Alice for Love who actually appeared before Alice for Love and still appears throughout the segment, or I should say, yes, some fans figured Chaz would return even after Alice for Love because he appeared before Alice for Love, while the other crushes from Alice for Love had debuted in Alice for Love. And from what I understand, originally, the crushes from Alice for Love that were introduced in that segment were intended to just be one-shot characters or one-time characters that we'd never see again. But that changed. Sam in particular made more appearances in Season 3 because of how some fans Yes, because of how some fans, Sam did return in season 3 because of some fan reaction to Alice for Love. Yes, some fans did like Sam when she appeared in Alice for Love, and those fans' reaction to Sam is what led to Sam returning in season 3 a few times. And Sam is not the only crush from Alice for Love who does return. I think at least a few of them do get a cameo appearance in an entry in season 3. I'll be sure to talk about that once I reach that recap and thoughts video, once my memory is refreshed. But I do know for sure that there is another crush from Alice for Love who does return towards the end of season 3 and in a prevalent role similar to Sam. So yes, Sam isn't the only crush from Alice for Love, or that debuted in Alice for Love, that will return. But yes, Sam's return in this segment is what led to some fans considering the possibility of maybe we'll see the other crushes from Alice for Love. And yes, some of the crushes that debuted in Alice for Love do return. Now, back with Sam in particular, around the time when season 3 was first airing on TV, some supplementary material did reveal some more details about Sam that haven't really been clarified in the show itself. And part of that was because it took a while for Sam's prevalent role, or her spotlight role, towards the end of season 3. But for anyone who's curious, this supplementary material reveals that Sam's last name is Sharp, and she has a brother named Simon. So far, as of the recording of this video, it hasn't been clarified if Simon is younger or older than Sam. But that hasn't stopped some fans from creating fan art or fan works that feature Simon in some capacity. But you can imagine that Simon's appearance and his age are different depending on the fan. Who knows if we will see... Or yes, some fans suspect that maybe Simon will appear in season 4. He doesn't appear in season 3. I should go ahead and mention that now, but maybe we'll see Simon in season 4. And I guess the other detail about Simon we do know is that Sam apparently... Or yes, according to the supplementary material, Sam considers having one sibling to be very chaotic in its own right. So that's about all we really know about Simon. But yes, some fans have definitely speculated about Simon, and who knows if season 4 will feature Simon or not. We'll just have to be patient and see how season 4 unfolds once it airs on TV. Now, yes, so besides Clyde or Zach or Sam, we do get a few other cameos of some other characters. One of these characters is Lindsay Sweetwater, one of Lola's pageant rivals. And this segment in particular stands out because we actually get to see Lindsay Sweetwater. Lindsay Sweetwater appeared in A Tattler's Tale, but she was hiding in a dark area, so we didn't actually get to see Lindsay Sweetwater in A Tattler's Tale. Well, we saw her eyes. We saw her eyes in the dark area, but we didn't actually get to see the rest of Lindsay Sweetwater, just her eyes. So in this segment, we finally get to see what Lindsay Sweetwater looks like. And I believe Lindsay Sweetwater did actually appear in an earlier entry. I think she appeared in Making the Case, but it wasn't clarified at the time which character was Lindsay Sweetwater. But in any case, we now know what Lindsay Sweetwater looks like. So some fans did appreciate seeing what one of Lola's pageant rivals look like in this segment. And the other cameo, or the other notable cameo that stands out to me, is Myrtle, Albert's girlfriend from Instagram. I did mention before, Myrtle doesn't really have a prevalent role for the rest of season 3 besides Instagram, but Myrtle still does have cameo appearances, or she's mentioned too, or yeah, she's either mentioned or has a cameo appearance here or there to acknowledge that she still exists. Or that, yeah, Myrtle's not a one-time character. She still appears in the show. So yes, this was one of those examples of Myrtle being acknowledged outside of Instagram. She was at Sunset Canyon Retirement Home watching Luan's performance, and while Clyde was keeping an eye on Luan. But yeah, so there were a few cameos in this segment, and yeah, some fans did appreciate some of these different cameos. Like I said, Myrtle and Sam's return were ones that stood out to fans. And Lindsay Sweetwater's appearance finally being clarified for fans was another notable example of a cameo. But yes, overall though, yeah, I don't think this segment was seen very favorably by some fans, and I can't say I blame those fans. So speaking for myself, what I think about this prank apocalypse, yes, among the 3 April Fool's Day segments so far, I would say this was the weakest one. This was the April Fool's Day segment I didn't enjoy. And like I said earlier, that's because of the execution. The execution feels like something that's closer to home compared to the more over-the-top cartoony pranks of the first two. So I wasn't particularly fond of this prank apocalypse. I thought it was very underhanded and cruel of Luan to do what she did. But yes, I do think it was good how the rest of the Loud family were able to prank Luan back, and Luan did at least promise to clear up the humiliating acts to the people that saw these humiliating acts. And again, if you go with the interpretation that it's a what if, that does help to soften the blow too. But otherwise, yeah, I wasn't really the biggest fan of this segment because of its execution. But I still think there were still some good points to it, like the rest of the Loud family pranking Luan back, and I thought it was heartwarming about how Clyde was looking out for the majority of the Loud family by keeping an eye on Luan, and the different cameos. Yes, I know. The different cameos did help to make things a bit more. Yes, the different cameos helped to make the segment feel a little more. I guess you could say it did make the segment a little more believable. Like they could have just had the stunt doubles perform their humiliating acts in front of like random background characters, but they actually had chosen some named characters for certain humiliating pranks. So that did help to add to the sting of the prank apocalypse. If nothing else, it does show how Luan was how it does help to enhance how the prank apocalypse affected the Loud family members. So otherwise, I would say that was about it for this particular segment. So as of this video, we've now discussed the B segment of episode 57 of The Loud House on this channel. Take care, and until next time.